Logan. I'm president of the Women's Arts Collective. We are a metropolitan Plainfield organization, and our mission is to support women artists over 55 so that they can remain productive artists. And the way we do that is by creating venues and other opportunities for these artists to do to do workshops, to do seminars, to do demonstrations, to performance. So I have two artists here with me today, and I'd like to introduce you to Cindy Cephas. She's a master quilt maker, and Lisa Brown, who is an educator and art therapist, even though she doesn't have an art therapist degree, but she is an art educator and is retired from Montclair School District, and now she has her own studio called Art as Therapy. And I'm going to give each of them an opportunity to talk more about their art, their work as artists, and also I'll be talking about how the Women's Arts Collective is involved with these artists. Okay. Right now, the Women's Arts Collective is currently doing a writer's workshop here in my home. And the purpose of the workshop is to invite writers, people who believe they have that novel in their heart that they have to get out, or that play that they're struggling to get out, or that poem that's been sitting in the back of their mind. So we come together and we support each other to do a critique as well as to inspire our fellow writers. We also, let me just back up a little bit. The Women's Arts Collective covers all genres of creativity. That includes the artisan, the visual and performing artists, theater, and so any creative activity that we recognize these days is part of who we want to be supporting. There was a recent video that I saw by a woman who is a poet from Newark. Her name is Bria Knight, and the video that she made was an interview of her, and she expressed in the most articulate way what an artist's life is and what it means to be a performing artist. She really defines herself as someone who eats, sleeps, and poops art. Music, literature, dance, everything. She couldn't imagine her life without any of that. Music, she just had to have that in her life. But she also lamented about how she has been performing in New York and Newark for many years, and she's still a struggling artist. And she, in this interview, talked about how she's still struggling as an artist because she is not getting the financial support that she needs. She's also a creative person. She designed hair, natural hair styles, and she was talking about how she didn't have the resources for health care. Now, when I heard her talk about that, that really made me upset, because there are many genres of art, like the dancers have, I want to say an old dancers home, musicians have, are taken care of, but we are not taking care of people who give us so much, who enliven our lives so much. And so her testimony in that video really covers what the Women's Arts Collective is about. And we hope we don't have any more Bria Knights out there. We want to support artists by helping them get venues, develop new audiences, so that they can stay productive artists and we can continue to enjoy the value of what they produce. Also, in terms of the work that the Women's Arts Collective is involved in right now, our website, many people have been looking for it, is in progress. Right now we are not a 501c3. We are struggling to get the resources to get our 501c3. And when we do, we'll have all the resources we need to have our website and other media communications that we desperately need to help promote our activities. But in the interim, we will be having a framework for our website, and that's coming up very shortly. Also, this month we just completed a whole month of exploring art with Lisa Brown at her studio, Art as Therapy. It was so much fun. I kept thinking, I said, gee, maybe we should have a membership to Art as Therapy so we could just go there, every Sunday or every whatever and just take classes. And I'm sure that that's on her mind, and she'll be able to talk more about what her plans are and what her studio is about. The name of her studio, again, is Art as Therapy, and she is supporting the Women's Arts Collective by allowing us to bring artists there to do workshops. One of the critical pieces to the Women's Arts Collective is that we believe all artists should get paid. We also believe in free classes, but we believe that the artist should get paid. So however the artist gets paid, that's fine. If that means that the participants have to pay, then that's in fact what they do. The other upcoming thing is beginners quilting with our master quilter, Cindy Cephas. I don't know, I'm not used to calling people by their nicknames, but because I have a friend whose name is Cynthia, her family calls her Cindy. So please excuse me if I go back and forth there. This will be a workshop that will, Cindy is going to talk more about, but it's going to be a lot of fun for people who want to get started in quilting and want to explore what in fact that would entail. So before you jump out there and buy all this stuff, Cindy's going to explain what it would take for you to actually explore the art for fun or for business, and see if it really is for you. And then coming up will be a beading workshop. Actually, it's a jewelry design workshop with Josephine Thomas. Many of you may know Josephine. She is known throughout the state and more locally as an instructor in jewelry design. She will be doing this in May, and we really are excited about it. Both Cindy's workshop and Josephine's workshop have limited seating. So as soon as you see the notice, you need to sign up for it. The reason why we have limited seating for a couple of reasons. One, both of these instructors are extraordinary, and they will be able to give you one-on-one assistance. You're not going to be lost in the crowd kind of thing. Also, your creativity is going to be able to be enhanced, because what I love about these two women is that they do not tell you, oh, you're doing something wrong. Same thing with Lisa. When she introduces a new project to us, she is all about helping you bring out the art in your life and have it expressed. So there isn't any right or wrong about that. And so that's why when you go to Artist Therapy Studio, you're going to have so much fun. And also, all the instructors that I introduced to you are all people who love to teach, who love to share their art with people. So you're going to have a great time. Also, we're going to be doing drama. Cheryl Jones, who is an actor, who also teaches up in East Orange at the Whitney Houston high school. I think it's Arts High School.
Yeah.
Yeah, she is going to be.
East Orange. It's East Orange.
It's in East Orange, right?
Yes, East Orange.
She's going to be doing a beginner's workshop for people who just want to start out acting, who've never done it before, and just want to explore what it's going to be about. That's coming towards the end of the spring. And Nancy Kutzer, I met her at the Plainfield Senior Center in helping them, the seniors do their drama presentation. And I asked her, would she be interested in doing workshops too? And she said yes, she would love to be able to, and we are planning to have her do workshops for beginners, but not real novices, but people who have started and want to get some more skills. These are all workshops that we think will bring a value to the community and value to individual lives. Now, even though the name of our organization is the Women's Arts Collective, we believe that in order to support women artists, we need intergenerational as well as, all genders. My personal view is that women represents everybody. When you say woman, there is nobody that's excluded. So we are the beginning and the end of it all, pretty much. And we are also, it seems that we are the culture keepers. And I'd like to start with Cindy to talk about how, as a culture keeper, she expresses her art through quilt making.
Well, okay. My name is, it's short, my name is Cynthia Cephas, but mostly everybody can't pronounce that, so they just say, well, could I call you Cindy? And I just say, okay.
And it's
Cynthia.
But it's Cynthia.
I never heard that. I heard
Nice.
Cynthia.
My cousin named me. Her name is Delia, and she
Oh,
named me
okay.
Cynthia.
Oh, it's a little bit different.
But quilting has always been in my family. My grandmother was a quilter, and my great aunt. And she made quilts for all the children.
Now, who your great aunt?
My great aunt, her name was Aunt Elizabeth Jackson, and she passed away years ago. But every child in the family, even my children, we have quilts from her. My grandmother, she made like the older quilts for the bed. They were like really heavy.
Yeah, that's what my mother made, the quilts for
During the
bed.
time,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
grandmother made quilts.
Yeah.
They stuffed them with clothes or whatever.
That's right, yes.
And those quilts were so heavy because, like, my grandmother had a wood stove, and once the house got cold,
Right.
you needed these heavy quilts on.
Right.
So they would put these. I used to go to my grandmother's house, and so it would be like, she had a lot of kids, and I had a lot of cousins, and we would go to bed, like maybe 4 of us slept in the same bed.
Sure.
So they would put this heavy quilt
That's
on
right.
you. I mean,
Like a
that
coat.
quilt was
Right.
a ton. So they got up early. I wouldn't get up because I had to wait for my grandmother to. They would put the wood in the fire in the stove. So I said, I'm not getting out of the bed until
it gets warm.
It gets warm. So they left me in the bed. I could not get out because the quilt was so heavy. They had to come actually and take that quilt off from me. That's how heavy it was. So that was like a great memory for me. So, but I didn't really get into quilting until I was in my late 30s.
Oh.
My late 30s. I always wanted to do it, but then I worked for J&J, and then my kids were going to school and going to college, so I really didn't have time to do it. So then once the kids got out of the way, I decided, I met this group called Nubian Heritage Quilters. They originated out of Newark.
Okay.
So I met them at it was an art store in Plainfield. You remember that art store? Lady
Yes,
had
on
this.
the Second Avenue.
Yes.
Oh.
And they were at her, because she sold black collectibles and things like that. And it was like Black History Month. And she had these group of women which were named Nubian Heritage Quilters, which they still have a group now that meets in Montclair. And we met them there. I took a couple of my girlfriends, and they told us, they meet every second Saturday of each month. So we decided to go to Newark. We lived in Somerset, so we started traveling there. And then we learned the basics of quilting. We all knew how to sew because I learned how to sew in high school. And they used to have home economics in high school.
Everybody had to take it.
I don't even know if they do that anymore.
They don't.
Which is a shame,
It's a shame.
because at least taught you how to sew
How
a
to
button on or hem pants
Fix
or
the
whatever.
zipper or something, yeah.
I think that these days people pretty much throw away clothes.
Right.
They don't
Or
want
they
to
take it to the cleaners usually.
clean it. Yeah.
And so I fell in love with it, so I started making quilts, and I would take them on the job because I worked at that time. I worked for Ethicon Johnson & Johnson on Route 22 in Bridgewater. So I would take my quilts because they would laugh at me. They would say, "Oh, quilting is for old people," and I said, "No, it's not. Anyone can be a quilter, young, old, whatever." So I just picked it up right away.
But now your quilts, as I looked at your quilts and everything, because I talked to Carol on the telephone about that. Talked for about an hour when the first call, first I called you, then I called. And when I looked at your quilts, right, your quilts are more declarative, more.
But like
the quilts that I come from, the one that my mother made, was the ones you just explained about on the bed.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But at that time, quilts were made to keep you warm only.
Right.
But now in the modern days, you don't need quilts heavy like that.
Right.
You have, the modern, you have heat. You don't have the wood burning stoves and the coal stoves. So that's what they did. And during slavery time, the slaves, it was like activity for them, relaxation to give them something to do, and storytelling. Because during that time, during the slavery runaway, if you look at history, they made quilts and they put symbols in the quilts, and the masters they would hang the quilts out like on a line or something, but the masters did not realize that it was telling the slaves when they could leave and different places they could stop for them to get help. So quilts during that time were used for several things. But now in the modern time, quilts have become really big. Now they have quilt shows, quilts exhibits.
Yeah, I see it,
And it has become an art.
But you wouldn't lay one of these quilts on the bed. You can do that like a bedspread or something like that.
See, these quilts that I have here, I usually take to shows, like I do vending, or I would show in a gallery, and people hang them on their wall. Like this quilt here, you would display this on your wall.
Oh, that's beautiful, yes. Let me get this close up on that.
And people like to give gifts, quilts as gifts.
Yeah.
That
would look nice in a picture frame, actually.
And they also frame my
Yes.
This quilt also, it's an art quilt.
Oh, that is beautiful.
What I expressed, it tells a little story. You're in New York City, and at the bottom it's the taxi, and the little girl on the side, she's walking in the rain. So this is also something I
Oh,
was
the gray
going
part
to
is actually the
mark
rain.
on.
Oh, yes, now I see it.
Music in the back, yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's beautiful.
Let me show
So-
you that.
This is more of a traditional quilt, but it also tells a story because I have different blocks and it's showing family, it's showing children, and I think I have a block that shows Kwanzaa. So it actually tells a story. This could be used as a throw, like if you lay on the couch, it's long enough,
Sure.
to cover you.
Oh, wow.
Or you can hang it, because I always put sleeves on the back of my quilts. Where you
Now,
put
I'm going to ask this right here because, again, I guess I would just call my mother quilts more industrial quilts because, this, like, the actual little pictures and things of that nature.
Right.
How, like, where did you actually get the pictures? You know what I mean? My
Well-
mother pictures were sweet as knits clothes. Somehow
Well,
sweet as knits.
I go all over and collect fabric.
Oh,
and,
okay.
And then I design.
Oh, wow.
I design the quilt from the fabrics.
Oh, okay.
But also,
Can I just interject something? In terms of storytelling, one of my friends here in Plainfield, she is also a master quilter. And one of the quilts that I was most fascinated with, first of all, when Hurricane Sandy hit,
Yes.
a huge tree lopped off a quarter of her house, and it included her sewing machine.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And so she had decided that one of the quilts that she made was the city of Paris. Her husband and she had always gone to Paris every year and stayed for a month or two. But he's passed away. And so what she did, she made a quilt of the city of Paris. But her new sewing machine was going to allow her to write, to put all the streets in the city of Paris on the quilt. Her name is Martha Pritchard. She lives here in Plainfield. She's very shy, but she is a fabulous quilter. And she also, when we're talking about how people use quilts for memory, her parents passed away, and she has, I guess, 5 siblings. And so all the kids gave things that they had of their parents, wool coats and all that kind of thing. And Martha made a quilt for each of her siblings from clothing from her parents.
Right.
So that's a memory quilt, and then of course there's the art quilt as we see here, and then in Martha's case there was 2 memory quilts. But when you see these quilts, I haven't seen the one she's given to her family, but this Paris quilt is awesome. It's really awesome.
well, that reminds me because I had a customer, her grandmother died, and her grandmother went to church and she had hundreds of church hats. So she called me and she said, I want to make a quilt for my grandmother's hats.
Okay.
And I said, well, you really can't make a quilt per se from your grandmother's hats because, they were straw hats and different kind of materials. So what I decided to do, I took a picture of each one of her grandmother's hats, and I did like the picture transfer that I do the picture quilts with. And then I cut a sample of each hat of her grandmother's and sewed the piece of fabric or the straw on a separate block right beside the hat.
Wow.
And it is one of my best hats, my best quilts I ever made. When her granddaughter saw the quilt, she just cried because I tried to explain to her the way I was going to do it, but she could not, see the vision. But those are my most favorite quilts, the ones that I do, because that really means something, that I'm doing something that's going to really make someone else happy.
From the heart, yeah.
And I did quite a few quilts like that. one of my customers, her mother and father passed, and she saved their clothes. So she gave me her father's suits and his shirts, and I made a quilt from that, and her mother's clothes. So those are the most rewarding quilts for me. I mean, these quilts I usually...
Hey, show the one that's on the chair, the back of the chair there.
This one?
Yes, I'm most interested in seeing what that looks like.
Most of these quilts I do when I go to vending at different shows. Now this is a quilt,
That's
a Paris.
Ah.
This is a Paris quilt also. This is
Okay, you got both sides, all right.
turn this.
I
Oh,
thought it
this
was
way.
her, because I saw the Eiffel
Yeah.
Tower
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah, you guys,
Wow.
if you can
Tilt
come,
this way.
yeah, you
Tilt
come
this
straight,
way.
right,
Come
right.
this way.
Yeah, there you go, I can get it a little bit better than
That one.
Hold it up high.
that. Oh, wow.
So this is a Paris quilt. I try to make quilts where, you know, always is someone looking for different things. So I like to make a variety. So these quilts that's already made, I usually take them at my vending
look at
shows.
the back.
And
Even
then
though you don't really
the
display.
back, I just put,
That's the Eiffel Tower. That is Eiffel Tower.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. But you know, one of the things I just want to comment is on the quilts that I have from you too.
right.
The backs are really interesting
Yeah, I
because
like to put
the
nice
the,
backs.
the stitching on it is just so
That's the
fascinating.
other thing that's new is the machines now can do
Yeah,
the-
incredible stitching
Incredible stitching, and so there's craft in that,
and knowing the machines.
and knowing your machine.
Now
Well, I
I,
can tell you this right here. I have my mother, born 1924, right? And her mother had a laundry, so she was used to machines. And when she sewed with a machine. I had a younger cousin that sewed only by hand,
Right.
you know, only by hand. And so the magical things that she was able to produce and actually keep part of our economy down in the house because she could almost sew anything.
right.
I mean, she took a suit that was my father's suit, cut it down for my brother, and then cut it for me, and then turned it to a girl suit for my little sister years ago. I
That's
mean,
her gift.
you know, that
When
right
you
there.
can actually, that's like taking it out of the box.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
your gift.
Or let me say this story. I can't not say this one. She would go to Macy's downtown Newark, which was Bamberger's then.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. And she would take a dress and put it like on the counter, and then she would cut a pattern out. Right. Yeah.
Yes.
So there was a young lady that I guess they sent to tell her that she can't do that. So my mother called her highfalutin, you know, leave me alone, I want to, you know, whatever. And so my mother would take the dress, right, and put it on the thing, and then basically cut a pattern.
Yeah, I figured.
Well, in 2 weeks,
She'd have the dress.
yeah, we walk in Macy's, Bamberger's, because we never bought anything at that time. Bamberger was, you know, a very exclusive store. I guess like Neiman Marcus would be today.
Yeah.
And we only walked through Bamberger's for the air conditioning.
Right.
Right.
I'm gonna keep it real, the air conditioning, and
Wow.
to get accustomed to using
Right.
escalators. All right, you know, they had the big escalators. And as we would walk through, the young lady that was telling that she couldn't do this, looked and
And
seen the
dress
same
on. Yeah.
dress.
Oh
you
my
hear me?
goodness. See, that was her gift.
I was like, all right.
That was definitely a gift.
Let me say this. Should young people get involved in sewing today? Should they do
Why
it?
not?
Because you remember me and you talked about
Right,
that,
you know,
right?
this
All
is
the
a-
trade, all the trades.
This is a
All
good
the
way
trades
to
are going.
segue into Lisa. Lisa Brown as art instructor and art as therapy studio. Do you want? I'm going to segue
Yeah.
into
I
her.
could,
I
So-
think she should show that quilt first.
Oh,
But
go ahead and
this
Because
show
it's
this.
really beautiful.
okay, now this quilt, a lot of times I forget about doing things for men, and now and then women want to buy their husband actually a gift a wall hanger for their man cave or something like that. So I just like made the guy hanging out in his man cave, and then I made little small blocks and made him like a little mini quilt to cover up. So I just thought that was like really
That's
Oh,
nice.
cool.
It's very nice, yeah.
Beautiful,
I
yes.
love that
Cool.
one.
Yeah, that's very nice.
so.
So now I want to,
But
let Lisa talk
I
about.
could let me just finish about
Oh, okay.
like the quilting class.
Okay. Oh, yeah, talk about the quilting class.
Now the quilting class I'm gonna give, it's for beginners to see if this is something they really want to do, because you have to buy the proper equipment to start quilting. For example, you need like a cutting board, you need a rotary cutter, you need the proper scissors, and different things like that. And to really get started, to have the proper tools, I would say you need to spend at least a couple $100.
Okay.
And I feel if this is something that you don't know if you really want to do it or not, I wouldn't suggest spending that type of money. But, you know, quilts, it depends on what you want to do. But once you learn how to quilt, it's a beautiful, it could be a hobby. It started off a hobby for me. I was making for friends, my grandchildren. And then I was getting so busy and getting people calling me. It ended up turning into a business. My daughter made me a website, and it's been really wonderful for me.
Can you give that information out now on your website and how they
Yes.
people can contact you?
My website is www.quiltsbycc.com. And if you want to get in contact with me, you could go through my website, and it has a form where you fill out, and it will come directly to my email.
Do you have a Facebook account?
I don't have a Facebook account right now, but I just have my website. And you go on my website and you can get some history about me, and I'll see some of my quilts
Okay.
on there that I have done through the years. And, you know, I do all types of quilts. I do traditional quilts like he said his mom made. It depends on what you want. I could do any type of quilt you want. I do wall quilts, art quilts, photo quilts, which I can take pictures of your family and incorporate it into a quilt, which is very popular, like for birthdays or family reunions or things like that. The t-shirt quilts, I do quilts from clothes. Or you could design your own quilt. If you could bring me pictures, clothes, awards, what I can't put in a quilt, I can transfer it on fabric. I'll take the picture and then I transfer it on fabric.
Wow.
So you can design your own quilt. It's nothing set with quilting. It's no rules. You could do what you want to do. But it's a great gift for anyone. It's a great hobby to get into because quilts last forever. You can pass them down from generation to generation.
And all right, is there anything else you do?
I also like to recycle
Oh, wow.
blue jeans.
Oh, that is nice.
So what I do, I go to yard sales or whatever, and I buy old jeans, and I make tote bags from them.
Wow.
So I cut off the jeans, and I take the legs, and I make the scraps from the jean pants. And then I also line it. And this has became very popular because you could put your books, your
Sure.
lunch. You could do a lot of things. You know, I make all different styles. This one is a pattern of traveling. And you could store them in the washer if they get dirty, because they're
Sure.
blue jeans. Could
Wow.
last forever. So, because I started making this because when I go to shows, everyone don't always have money to buy quilts.
Sure.
But
What
this
a
is
bag
just
like that
small.
cost you?
This is $35.
Oh, okay. Yeah, very inexpensive, yes, yes.
and it's also lined.
And you still have your pockets.
And you still have your pockets. They can put their cell phone. So I think it's real cool.
Oh,
you
that's
know.
nice, yes.
You have your jeans on or whatever.
What's the time frame it takes for you to actually make one of those bags?
I could do one of these bags in 2 or 3 days.
Wow. Okay.
You know.
That is.
I've been doing it so long, you know. It's fast for me. Now somebody just learning, it's gonna take a while, because it took a while when I first started, but I did so many. But if you have any other questions, you could just contact me through my email, which again, www.quiltsbycc.com.
And do you have a telephone number to be contacted?
Yes, my phone number is 732-406-9986.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. This is wonderful.
Thank you.
That's a wonderful thing.
Now, let's talk about how one of the things that Cindy mentioned is how this art can be a part of your expression, you know, and that's what Lisa has really been about. Her practice has really been about helping people to express themselves through art. So Lisa.
So the name of my programs are Artist Therapy, and the website is art-as-therapy.com, and the email is lisa@artisttherapy with the hyphens. And I have a Facebook page, which is Artist Therapy in Somerset County. And I teach a variety of classes. I'm an artist, a fine artist. I teach many different things. I have a kiln in my studio, so I teach ceramics. My forte is watercolors. I do mixed media. I've won a few awards. I've been in shows. I'm going to be at the Overlook Hospital in April with, I think, like 70 paintings. I was there last year also. And I teach also therapy programs, which are called Creative Journal Expressive Arts, which means that you are journaling. It's based on 13 books by Lucia Capacchione. I did study with her in 1999. I've been a supervisor for her program on the East Coast for probably 10 years. And I teach, we do therapy where we write and draw with both hands. And
Would
do
you
a lot of
repeat that?
We
Right.
write and draw with both hands.
Write and
Right.
draw with both hands,
Yes.
and why would we want to develop that skill?
You don't want to. It's not something to develop. What it is that when you're a child and you start to write, you automatically tap into the left side of your brain. So even if you're a left-handed person, you're still going to tap into the logical part of your brain, because that's what writing is all about.
Okay.
Therefore, the other side is the intuitive, childlike side. So if you want to get to the bottom of some of your issues, if you ask a question with your dominant hand, the one you usually write with, and you answer with your non-dominant hand, you will get some really interesting answers. And Lucia Capacchione is the only one who's designed therapy like that and journaling like that. And I studied with her a long time, and I've been friends with her for a very long time. And we actually did, for her 70th birthday, a quilt.
A 70th birthday.
Yeah, she's
Wow.
73 now. And we did a quilt where I had everybody send me a piece of something they had drawn, and we put it together, a quilt. I didn't actually do the quilt. I had a friend of mine, because I'm not a quilter. I did the artsy part. So, and also my brother has my grandmother's quilt. So my grandmother did also do quilting. And so the therapy piece is a little bit separate, but I also teach all fine arts. And I teach for the adult school, and it's a kind of a overall town thing. It's like Westfield, and then I think it's Madison, Florent Park, Watchung, Warren. So I teach a lot of classes for them. And if you want to see what I teach or see my artwork, you just have to get on my website.
Tell us a little bit more about what you see art as therapy? How is art therapy?
Okay, so I studied art therapy, and I decided that I did not want to analyze or diagnose anybody's artwork. I think everybody has a talent for art. I think we're inborn with it. You just have to find the right media. So a lot of times what I try to do is give people the experience of trying different media that they may have not tried before, so that they can see where their creativity will come out. And so I really use art as just kind of a way to get away for 2 hours. Just, come, get into the process of art, not think about whatever's going on in the rest of your life, and enjoy yourself. And the best part for me is when people walk away with a piece of artwork that they're happy with, and they are smiling. I do a lot of the mixed media class. Everybody does their own picture. We don't all do the same picture. And so I try to really pull people pull their creativity out of them, so that they can be proud of themselves.
So I know you talked to me about some organizations that you've worked with, different group types.
Yeah,
project
I
types.
did. I've done a lot of cancer survivor groups, mostly working with one of the activities was making tie-dye scarves. So we started with white scarves, and they all had scarves at the end, and they wore them. And because they don't feel pretty, I thought that would be a nice way to honor them. And I've also done mixed media with that group. I've done brain injured. I've done a lot of bereavement groups, since I too have been through that. So I incorporate the art with the journaling when it's necessary, or when when I send the class that way. But otherwise, I'll just teach the art.
Yeah,
And the other thing was the other day we actually, with the art collective, we did batik, and one of my students who had done a batik with me before actually ended up quilting around her batik, and she won first prize at a quilting show. So we just did batiks because they're going to be quilting, and I thought they might want to have their batik for a quilt.
Your friend that you said that was talking, that's 70 years old,
Mm-hmm.
that talked about the left side and chose
Right.
energy. Have she written any books?
She's written 13 books.
Wow.
So the one that's most popular is Visioning. She wrote the Creative Journal. She wrote Creative Journal for Kids, Creative Journal for Teens. She wrote one about the one that I work with cancer patients is usually called Picture Health. I've worked with almost all her books. Visioning is kind of like The Secret, only you don't dream fantastic things, but you put what you'd like your life to be like, and then you journal about it, and that will help you kind of find.
And give her name again, please.
Her name is Dr. Lucia Capacchione. It's CAPACCHIONE.
I see Lisa is very shy, and I don't think she's right now, in this discussion, really shared with us some of the real benefits of her art. When you work with cancer patients, I've been diagnosed with multiple myeloma, and some of the psychological issues that cancer patients or people who've been diagnosed with a catastrophic disease is that you kind of lose confidence in yourself. You kind of you're not yourself.
Right. And
you feel like you're losing control. So how does art help?
well, one of the things that I work on is with cancer patients is also creating a collage of things that you like to do that make you happy, so that when you're feeling really down, you can just look at your collage and say, oh yeah, I can call my friend and have coffee with her, or oh yeah, I can go, sit in the park. Something that sometimes you just forget. You're so overwhelmed with how you're feeling, and you don't want to talk about the cancer anymore. You want to find something a little different to do. So there's ways to do that, and also you can talk to your cancer with your non-dominant hand if you would like, and tell it to go away, and see, just get some of the anger. And also there's a part where we just scribble through all the emotions, and get some of that emotion off of your chest and onto paper. I've also worked with some children who have lost their father. It was 3 kids whose father hung himself, and found him, and there's no words for that.
That's right.
And
Yes.
so they were young. The oldest one was 12. So I just had them scribble to music, different kinds of music, to just kind of get their feelings off, and then just draw a picture of what makes them happy. And you know, children are a little resilient, but those things stay really deep inside.
Sure,
And so
of course.
it's nice for them to have. I like to let them know that they can just scribble out some of those feelings if they want when they're mad and they don't have words for what's going on.
I think that, you know, as human beings, all the things that we like to express, we don't have a language for.
No.
And so that's why, you know, art becomes an adjunct for us to be able to communicate
Right.
and also to expiate, you know, get rid of
it. Yeah.
get rid of anger. And it's, you know, I just want to say that, you know, I've been working with Lisa during the month of February, and the experience was so wonderful. I was there with 4 of the people that I had never met before.
Oh, I thought you guys were friends.
No, we did not. You know, they signed up. They registered for the class through the Women's Arts Collective, and we met at your studio. And 2 of us. Well, I did meet Etsuko because we are. She's going through a cancer treatment, and we met at Overlook at a session. And but everybody else. No, I had not met before. And the environment at the studio, Lisa's studio, is so welcoming for one thing, and soothing. It's so soothing. Not to mention she has this fabulous music going on in the background. But her whole demeanor is, you know, we don't have to perform. We don't have to... we can just be ourselves, and we don't have to be ashamed that we're not a good drawer, or we, you know, it's just totally, and for those 2 hours, that's so important, because during the course of the week, you're battling a lot of different things, and even the people who are not ill there. One is just retired, Lynn just retired, and she's looking for stuff to do.
Yeah.
And not really sure what to do.